A reading from the book of Genesis. God said to Noah and to his sons with him, "See, I am now establishing my covenant with you and your descendants after you, and with every living creature that was with you, all the birds, the various tame and wild animals that were with you and came out of the ark. I will establish my covenant with you, that never again shall all bodily creatures be destroyed by the waters of a flood. There shall not be another flood to devastate the earth." God added, "This is the sign that I am giving for all ages to come, of the covenant between me and you and every living creature with you. I set my bow in the clouds to serve as a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. When I bring clouds over the earth, and the bow appears in the clouds, I will recall the covenant I have made between me and you and all living beings, so that the waters shall never again become a flood to destroy all mortal beings." The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
If I ever become a saint, Mother Teresa wrote to her spiritual director in 1962, "If I ever become a saint, I will surely be one of darkness. I will continually be absent from heaven, to light the light of those in darkness on earth." God makes this promise to Noah that he will never again destroy all living creatures on earth. This flood, this destruction, this death, and this darkness will never again overcome us. He gives us this rainbow, this light of creation, or this creation of light, to remind us that darkness will not overcome us. We may be terrorized by darkness, destruction, death, despair, but God's light is always there, reminding us that He will not allow us to be consumed, to be abandoned into this despair. We may have to travel through a desert of water for 40 days, but God's light will save. In the novitiate, I spent some of my time processing some of my own darknesses, my spiritual loneliness or feeling of separation from God. One of the books I found during this time was called "Come Be My Light." I'm sure many of you have read it. It's collected writings of Mother Teresa, her journal, private letters, correspondences with her spiritual director. And I found that a lot of the spiritual experiences Mother Teresa had reflect some of the interaction between Noah and God with this rainbow and the covenant. For many decades, Mother Teresa lived in a spiritual desert, a feeling of abandonment and separation, this spiritual loneliness. She would even compare herself to the souls in hell. In 1959, she wrote these words, "They say people in hell suffer eternal pain because of the loss of God. In my soul, I feel just that terrible pain of loss, of God not wanting me. In my heart, there is so much pain. The pain of longing, the pain of not being wanted. I beg of you, Lord, only one thing. Please do not take the trouble to return soon. I am ready to wait for you for all eternity." Mother Teresa was living in this spiritual desert, and she thought that her feeling of separation from God would last all eternity, that even after death she would be absent from heaven, distant from union with God. But she knew, just as we know, of this promise that God made to us and Noah represented in the rainbow, that He will not abandon us to the darkness, to this destruction and this despair. We may have to sit a while alone and afraid, but we know that God's light will break through our darkness, and that He will bring us to life. He will bring us into this light where we find salvation. He will not allow the despair of hell to overcome us. In Lent, we're voluntarily passing through a desert, finding our own internal desert, examining our darkness, our internal darkness. We see our struggles and our temptations, our failures and our faults. We realize that indeed we should be destroyed in the flood, that we deserve the destruction that Noah saw all around him. But in spite of that, God freely gives us this promise, freely gives us this love and this light, and we know that the darkness, the despair cannot consume us, cannot overcome us. As Noah saw this sign of the light, a rainbow, so we too see a sign of light at the end of Lent, the light of Easter, the light of the resurrection. A promise of life, a promise of union with God. So we may be surrounded by darkness at times. It may penetrate into us or even come from within us to try to consume us. But we know that it will not triumph, that God's light will save us. If we trust in Him, have faith in Him, hope in Him, know His promise, we know that His light will bring us to life and union with Him. So trust in the Lord and wait for His light.